the king.
Dracarys.
What's up, Headless Horde? Welcome back to Sunday Night Live here with the Horde. We're talking Rogue One today. Loved it. I finished it about 2 hours ago. I rewatched the Vader scene just a few minutes ago. It's fantastic. So we're going to break down Rogue One here for the next hour or so. And then me and my co-host, we will be back with episode 2 of Raven's Reviews for The Last of Us, episode 3. And that's going to be approximately 10:30 or so. Right now it's scheduled for 10:35, but because I know the episode is a little longer. So welcome in, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here tonight. What's up, Christina? How you doing? Baby Ice, welcome. Mr. Jeremy, how are you doing, my friend? I'm going to go ahead and bring in my co-host so we can get this thing started. And toward the end of the live tonight, we're going to go ahead and show where we have currently ranked all of our all the episodes or all the movies so far, and we'll go ahead and we'll update our Rogue One rankings as well to kind of see, because we're about halfway through now. There's 11 movies. This is the 5th, so this is kind of like the halfway point almost. So we will see where we have these things ranked, and you can let us know in the chat if you agree or disagree. All right, I'm gonna bring on my co-host. You guys all know and love this man, Ryan Milky. How you doing, my friend?
What's up, Headless Horde? How you doing, guys? How you doing, Headless?
I'm doing all right. Unfortunately, the 49ers got drilled, so that wasn't good for me. But hopefully Kansas City can win, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's go Kansas City. I've always been a Chiefs fan, you know. My American roots are in Missouri and stuff, so it makes sense and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, hopefully they can pull it out. So because I'm in like this fantasy league where you have to like pick players, so I loaded up on Kansas City and 49er players, and now that I lost that team, I have no points coming from the Super Bowl on the NFC side. So literally the only way I can even get points is if Kansas City wins, or I'm basically done. So, but we'll see what happens. Rogue One. Opening thoughts. What did you think about this one?
Different. I went into it with a skeptical mind. I read the title, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and I was instantly reminded of Solo, a Star Wars story, and I thought, oh, please don't do this. And Ryan, why does Ryan look like a burglar? Says Baby Ice in the chat. I don't know. I thought my hat was very reminiscent of like the Death Star today. It looks like stars on my head, doesn't it? It looks like I've got a galaxy of stars on my head. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Rogue One is really, really good. It introduces new characters to me that I'm not aware of. This gives me familiar faces that I am aware of. It connects dots. It actually, I don't know if this makes anyone in the planet has ever said this, but I want to go and watch Andor.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, but
I like this movie. I'll tell you that.
I know, but I liked him. So I think because I liked him, it's enough for me to at least give it a try. If I'm gonna give these cartoon things a try, then I'm gonna give this adult serious show. Because you've heard me say many times on these breakdowns that if it hasn't got lightsabers in it, is it really a Star Wars movie? Well, Milky's wrong, because until the very end of this program, you don't really see a lightsaber. But I thought it was Star Wars all the way through. So
yeah. I mean, they do a great job, because it's what I really liked about Rogue One was I love that they went to Jeddah, and I don't know how much you know about Jeddah, but Jeddah is kind of like where the Jedi temples were, and this is where and this is why they were there, because they were trying to gather up all the kyber crystals to power up that Death Star. And it's really cool because in canon, or well, I guess Legends now, but in Legends, Jeddah was a huge place. And I'm trying to remember, I think in Rebels, because remember, Rebels does take place before this. I believe in Rebels they go to Jeddah too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think this movie's great. It does prove that Disney can make good Star Wars movies. I mean, we'll see what happens in the future. I guess they are continuing with Rey's story. That's kind of what the rumor out there right now is. That's the next movie. So apparently Daisy Ridley is going to come back, which I'm fine with because I am a fan. But, just it's As long as there's a story to be told, like it's gotta make sense. It just has to make
So when
sense.
we're gonna get her parentage, we're gonna find out who her parents are.
No, we know who her parents are.
Oh
You know,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, we know. Um, they've already changed it on us twice, so hopefully that she. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like it. What sucks for me is that if they continue this, and let's say they decide to take some stuff from Legends that Luke did, like Luke creating the Jedi Academy, which we kind of seeing a little bit of this in Mandalorian, which I don't know how much
Mm-hmm.
we can see. Um, I just hope they don't give that whole story to Ray. Like why didn't they do it the right, do it right the first time when they had the opportunity to do this? So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, my overall takes on this movie are brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely didn't hype it up too much. You didn't like weigh it down. You said it's a good movie. You said it was a decent one, and I watched it, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I literally finished watching it about an hour ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple small pet peeves I have with it, but overall, I think it's yeah, it's the top for me overall. So, but we'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll kind of just roll right through the movie here and just kind of talk. I'm not going to go scene by scene because we'll be here for hours. So we open up with Krennic coming down, Director Krennic. He's coming down to go grab what's his name? Not Jalen. Is it Jalen? Oh my god.
Jalen
Yeah,
Urso.
Jalen Urso. Okay, it's Jalen. So yeah, because he's the one who's kind of leading the. He led. Well, actually, no, because he was like, oh yeah, he comes back because he wants them to come back and help correct what's going on with the Death Star because the process of it and the building of it has slowed down, and it was all his like idea basically because you see back in flashbacks they they were actually like good friends and stuff, Urso and Krennic. So, what did you think about? I always found this part really strange, and I know they want to you got to kind of eliminate her, I guess that's to a point. But his wife, comes out of nowhere, and she's like, there's like a bunch of Death Troopers there. I didn't know I didn't know if you knew what those the Black Stormtroopers were. They're called Death Troopers.
I assumed that they were the badass things that Luke takes down when he comes back in Mandalorian, but they weren't quite what I was expecting.
Yeah, no, those are different because those are
complete
like
droids.
They're like robots or droids, right?
But they're also Death Destroyers, aren't they? They're a new form of badass, and they looked very similar.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they the same?
But I imagine that the people that wore the black in Rogue One were filled with a body. There was somebody in them.
Yeah. Those were definitely humans. So let's see, Death Trooper. So Death Troopers, or AKA Death Soldiers. These are the ones from
Rogue One.
Rogue One. The ones from.
I also believe that they were called Death Troopers as well, or something in Mando.
So from Mando.
Hey, Jeremy Knapp, Baby Ice, Simon Crook, Christina Payne. Thanks for being here, guys. Hope everybody's having a good weekend, and I hope everybody, is just hanging out. Sundays are a busy night as always. Don't forget that there's loads of people around. Be sure to make sure you pop into everywhere, hit the like buttons, comment, say hi to everybody. We can all hang out on Sundays.
All right, I got it. So Death Troopers are the troopers that we see in Rogue One. Those are upper level stormtrooper. The ones that Luke takes out in Mando are called Dark Troopers. That's
okay.
I knew I didn't think they were called. I didn't think they were the same name. I knew there was something.
But they look similar, don't they? They do look similar.
Oh yeah, they are. Oh yeah,
and
they're
stuff,
similar. So. But like you said, the Dark Troopers are actually more of like a droid, with heavy armor and stuff like that. But so anyways, yeah, we get to so she's sitting there. I think her name is Liza. I think it was or something.
Lysa, yeah, Lysa.
Yeah,
something Lysa.
Yeah,
yeah. She just comes out of nowhere, doesn't she?
Yeah, she comes out of nowhere, and I love the line by Krennic. He goes, "Oh, look at Lysa's come back from the dead." I don't know how I didn't put that in my video. I forgot about that line.
I personally haven't watched it yet because I hadn't watched the movie. I didn't want to
Oh,
ruin any
okay.
quotes, so I will watch it. But yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it was funny though because I'm like I totally forgot about that line, and it's so early on in the movie too.
hmm Yes, it
But
was a bit weird. It was obviously it was a sacrificial scene. You know what was going to
yeah,
happen. You know the girl was hiding, or the child was hiding, should I say? Because it was a bit thingy that he didn't gender her. Would have been a lot easier for them to have found who they were looking for if they knew they were looking for a female.
yeah, they had no idea that. Yeah, well, no, well, they had to have known because even that one, I think he knew
Well,
because
he tells they have a child under down. He doesn't
yeah,
say
but
there's
later,
a little girl.
yeah, but later in that later in the movie they have another flashback when she's kind of like dozing off or whatever, and they go back and this is when oh, you know what, it's not Jalen, it's Galen, that's what it is, Galen, Gal. When Galen has his like his empire like, you know, outfit
Mm-hmm.
on, or you know, whatever, and Jin comes, she's in there, he comes and tucks her back into bed. I mean, I'm assuming he knows who the kid is, so
Mm,
but
yeah,
anyways, yeah, and then so yeah, she gets killed, which I just thought was silly. I mean, why would you come out like that? But yeah, and then she goes and hides, and then we get to see Saul Guerrera finally in film because he was a lot. He was in Rebels, and he was also, his younger version was in Clone Wars. Um, so it's pretty
this is
cool.
the character played by Forrest Whitaker, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's kind of a big deal with he's the one who kind of started the rebellion, and then he kind of left, which is why he's on just kind of like he's on Jeddah. I mean, he was like one of the big characters who actually helped develop the rebellion against the Empire. You know, my probably my biggest pet peeve is that we don't get enough Saw Gerrera, and I know he's supposed to be older. I know he's not going to survive because he's never in any other movie. I wish they would have gave him more to do, and wish they would explain the whole breathing thing. Again, another just weird breathing apparatus for a character with no explanation. I don't know. It's just strange.
Yeah, this is why I love these breakdowns because I literally just watched this entire movie, enjoyed everything that that character gave me, was really annoyed that he didn't get on the ship at the end. Like, why does he
I
have to
know. I know.
die?
Yeah, I know.
And now you've just told me that he had even more significance to the storyline. He was the creator of the Rebel Force and the Rebel Action. Dude, that's even more hurtful now. You know,
Yeah, I
and
understand.
that's why I love doing these things because you fill in the gaps.
It is weird that he doesn't get on the ship. I'm like, I get it. You gotta get a
And he's
robot,
such a
right?
big name actor, and he
I
just
know.
dies. Like,
Yeah, he's just not, he's not in it that much, you know. Which that's the only thing. I mean, but you know, like I said, you knew going into this movie that most of these characters that you never heard of before were probably not going to make it. Like I always had held hope at the end that maybe Cassian and Jin would make it, but again, they're never mentioned in anything else, you know. So
well, yeah, for me going through it, I wasn't quite sure where Andor fit in the timeline, so I didn't know if he was going to live or die in the end of this movie, because I
oh
had no
yeah,
idea.
yeah,
So yeah, it was quite I got quite a nice payoff at the end because I
yeah.
genuinely had no idea where it was going.
Yeah, I think they said Andor is like 5 years before this happens. It's like right in the thick of
Okay,
things. That's what I'm thinking. Like you might get a little Saw Gerrera in Andor season 2. Might get a little bit because I mean
okay.
he is still around. I don't know, but so yeah, so you know, Saul gets her, and then we get a little you know, time jump here. I think they said like 15 years. And then we kind of see that she's kind of been captured. We don't really know what her crime was or whatever, but she gets captured and she's going to a camp to help out the you know, to help out the Empire as a prisoner. And we meet K2SO. Your first thoughts on this droid compared to L327, horrible character from Solo.
I just want to give Disney a round of applause and say thank you. You did a fantastic job. This droid was amazing. I felt something when this droid went down.
I know, right?
I was like, dude, this, oh,
Yeah.
it hurt. And I wish I could have replaced it with the droid loving L3 from last week. Yeah, and it even looks badass too.
Yeah.
Like I was like, yeah, really cool droid. Like, and I know that they're gonna always do that kind of stuff in movies. They're always gonna probably introduce a new droid,
Hmm.
but you know, I prefer that one to the likes of like BB-8 and some of the others that we get in the future. I know you're a fan of BB-8, but for me, it just makes no logical sense to have a stupid rolling little ball. Like in a war, what's that going to do? Nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, K2SO is a badass though. It's
pretty cool.
Pretty cool. So it's funny how she gets introduced to him too, and then he throws her on the ground and he goes, "What does he say?" He's like, "Congratulations, you are being rescued."
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it's a pretty funny line. I like K2 though. He's a good droid. So they kind of recruit her. They bring her to Yavin 4, anytime you can grab Yavin 4 and put it in anything, it's always going to be cool. That's their main base that we see at the end of A New Hope, which we will be reviewing tomorrow. We're in the original trilogy tomorrow. Pumped for that.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It's the one Star Wars movie I've seen the most.
Yeah. Probably, yeah, me too, probably. But so they're basically kind of talk to her about how they want to reach out to Saw, because they feel like he has information. Well, and they also find out, I kind of skipped it, but we do find out that there was a Empire pilot who kind of defected, and so they find out that Saw gets his hands on that pilot, and the pilot has a message basically from Galen Erso, and then that's why they go try to find Jyn, and then the rebels know who she is too. It's funny because she's going by some fake name, but they know who she is, so they've been keeping tabs on her probably. She's not thrilled about going to Jeddah, but they end up convincing her, so she goes, and we have the whole awesome scene. And did you notice in Jeddah when they first land? Did you notice the little cameo you got there?
No.
Yeah, let me see. I'll pull it up really quick. I'll show you a still.
No, I was super amazed with like seeing the Star Destroyer, the Death Star. Sorry, I was amazed by seeing that and learning things about that was interesting. Like I literally just said, I've seen the original Star Wars more than any other Star Wars, and in that movie we see the Death Star, and I never in all of these years knew how it was powered until now. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
there was the kyber crystals and all that.
Yep, and I do mention that a little bit on my lightsaber color video about the larger kyber crystals. I'm gonna let this play in the background. I know I'm close to the scene I want to show you, so I'll just when I get to it, I'll pause it. I'm surprised you didn't catch this. It's a pretty cool little cameo from A New Hope. But anyway, so yeah, they head off to Jeddah, and again we get to see them gathering all the kyber, and eventually they get the message from Galen. Oh, here it is right here. I might be able to play a minute of this. We'll see. All right, so I'm going to share this. We'll see how this works. Let me turn the volume up too.
Had a contact, one of Saw's rebels. He's just gone missing. His sister will be looking for him. The temple's been destroyed, but she'll be there waiting. We give her your name and hope that gets us a meeting with Saw.
Hope?
Yeah. Rebellions are built on hope.
They played on the word hope a lot in this episode.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think. I might have went too far. I think I did.
Is it the guys in the cantina scene?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that? Oh, okay. So you saw it then. I don't know why.
I did, but maybe if you see it, we can show it for the stream. But yeah, I remember. I was a bit confused.
There he is, right there. He doesn't like you. The guy that next to him, the walrus, that's the guy that Obi-Wan cuts his arm off.
Oh.
So those are the two guys in the cantina scene in the next movie.
So they go to Tatooine to Mos Eisley.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So
awesome.
it is. Yeah. It's a quick little cameo. I enjoyed watching that one. I remember when I saw that in the theater, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the dude who tells Luke he doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Mm-hmm.
I got the death sentence on whatever he says, but all right, so we get to Saw and they get to see the message, and now Jen is not in a great place because they know that her father is kind of trapped again with the Empire. And then we get to see Krennic. He decides, let's use this big old weapon we got. And we kind of see how the whole planet gets destroyed. It's funny because it happens a lot quicker in A New Hope when they destroy Alderaan. It's like boom.
I feel like you've powered up the weapon because it's not as strong right now.
That's what I'm thinking because even when they do it again at Scarif, it's not as powerful. So I think that's what I was thinking too. Is that right now it's just not as powerful. And they try to
because when Alderaan goes, it just goes puff.
Oh yeah, just goes poof.
Yeah, they have no idea it's coming.
Yeah, and like even later in the later in the other movies in the sequels, when Starkiller Base does it, it's like zapping how many planets at the same time. It just goes right through them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they get off Jeddah as we see everything crumbling. Saw unfortunately does not go with them, so he dies, and they are then off to, I don't remember the name of the world, but they're off to try to find Jin's father because they found out that he's still working on the Death Star, and he does make mention in that hologram, which is obviously pretty important, that he put a designed flaw into the Death Star. So everyone's back in 80s when it was like, why would you make a Death Star? Why would you have this little vent that goes all the way to the core? So they explain it. So it was purposely put in there by Galen, since he was like kind of the architect on all this. So I think it's a pretty good explanation. It makes sense with the story. What did you think about the explanation for that?
Yeah, I got the understanding of where they were going with the story, because when they mentioned that there was this shaft, I was like, okay, that's what Luke fires the missiles into in the iconic scene. I was like, okay, makes sense. It definitely educated me more as to give me a bit more backstory and understanding as to where it all came from and why it was even there. Because I believe, don't they make a second one?
They make a second Death Star, yeah, and they get rid of.
And does that have the same? And they get rid of that, don't they?
Yeah. So they in that one though. Remember, in Return of the Jedi, that one's not actually fully completed yet, and I think that's why they're able to fly in there after the shields are down from they knock out the shields from Endor, and when they fly in there, it's part of it's not even completed. So I think that's really the ease of why the Millennium Falcon can just go right in there. So.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it was fully completed, I don't know what they would have done, but so yeah, we're headed there, and then Andor is then given directions or an order to actually take out Galen, because it's just too important. He's too important to keep alive, and he knows too much, so they just want to take him out. And our boy. What's his name? Is it Chirrut? I think it's Chirrut. Our blind ninja master.
I don't know who he is, but he's amazing, and I love him.
He's a good character. Yeah, I think his name's Chirrut, and his buddy is I think it's Baze, Baze.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pilot that defected, his name is Bodhi Rook. And then obviously we have Andor, K2, and Jyn Erso. That's pretty much rounds out the whole crew there. So they head over there, and Jyn gets wind of that he's gonna try to take him out. So I don't know how she gets over to that base though, that so quickly, because she makes a move and goes all the way. It looks like it's so far away, but somehow she gets over there. A little cheesy, I guess, because it happens so quickly. And we end up seeing the rebels come attack them, because again they find out that where they are, and they basically wipe them out. And unfortunately, Galen does get killed, almost by friendly fire, really, because it's the last one of thing that kind of takes out the bridge, and he goes to the blast or whatever, so he ends up dying. After that was the whole purpose of trying to go there, was to try to save him. So that was a little bit sad. Of course, Krennic's still alive. That dude doesn't. I don't know what he's made out of. He gets blasted how many times and blasted and blown up and still alive.
And almost choked to death.
Almost choked to death, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, I like Galen. He was in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, wasn't he?
Who is this?
Galen.
Oh yeah, that's Mads. What's his name? Mads Mikkelsen or something. I think it is.
Yeah. I think he was. I think he was in the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I think he might have been one of the bad guys that then later changed to Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I never the Fantastic Beasts one. I never saw those movies. Those are like prequels to Harry Potter, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And then
I like the act. I like the actor. He's very good. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, again, in this movie, you have really good actors. Once again, like they just nail it every time. You know, it's just that's why it's like so like Solo was just not great, and you have such good actors. Well, this one they have great actors too, but the movie's great. So it's all about the writing of the script, you know. And, you know, this was directed by Gareth Edwards too, who he's the one who made what's that movie called? My gosh, Cloverleaf. You ever see Cloverleaf?
That's the aliens in New York from a third-person perspective, where the camera keeps going down every time the action gets good. Is that correct?
That's true. That is correct.
Yeah. I've seen it once, never again.
Yep.
Matt's brother voiced Admiral Thrawn.
Yep.
Okay.
So
I've heard the name Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah, that's, what's his name? Mikkelsen. Not Mads. It's drawing a blank. But yeah, he does.
Worries.
And I think they're trying to get him too. I think they want him to come back and be that role in Ahsoka. What's his name? What's his name? Not Mads. I'm looking it up real quick.
No worries.
M-I-L-K Mickle.
But yeah, so far 5 movies in, guys. I am absolutely loving this journey. I didn't think I would going to enjoy it as much, but as I said to Headless the other day backstage, I enjoy the movie more because we have these breakdowns, because I get to know a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. Headless explains a little bit more to me, so definitely you should be here every week and hanging out, because I'm definitely learning from them. So Lars, Jeremy says, I think it's Lars.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I hope he can reprise it. He's got the perfect voice for that character. He's got that thing nailed, you know. And then we get a cool scene where we get to see Krennic go back, and we see that Tarkin, good old Grand Moff Tarkin, is like, yeah, the weapon worked. You came, you did what you said you were gonna do. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take over control of this thing now, and he's pissed about that. So he goes to Vader, and we get that cool Vader scene. We get, comes walking out of the fog. We get to see him in the back of the tank, which is really cool. And
so that was Vader in that back of the tank, because you don't quite see who it is. It cuts off just before you see.
Much. Yeah, but that's when he goes in there to heal up and stuff. Yeah.
So that's Vader. Okay, right.
Yep, and then you see him come out, and looking like a badass. Got the nice red in his eyes. That looks pretty cool. And they have they have like a little, not argument, but because you really don't argue with Vader. Vader will tell you, but it's cool as he starts choking him, like that. So that was a nice little Easter egg there. Yeah,
because it subtly pays forward to the next movie, because he does it in a lot in the next movie. But I just want to say well done again to Disney. This is a love fest for Disney this week. They did so well with the CGI of the old dude. I don't know his name.
Peter.
And it kind of disappointed me. Like, I like the Lando Calrissian that we got in Solo, but if you were able to do these things, why not just bring back CGI version of Lando? Or was it just because he had to look younger?
Oh, it's because he had to look younger. I mean, because again,
that makes sense. Yeah,
he definitely had to look a little younger. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
can they do that though with the CGI technology? Can they make a person younger, or do they just keep them
They
where
can.
they used
'Cause
to be.
if you watch the trailer for the new Indiana Jones, I mean, that's what they did with Harrison Ford. I mean, he definitely looks younger. Like when you see some of the scenes.
Okay.
Yeah, he definitely. I mean, I don't know if they're doing. I don't know if it's flashbacks because he does look older in Crystal Skull, but I don't know. I mean, but yeah, I mean, they
Yeah.
can. But again, that's 13 years before. I think we said it was 13 years before A New Hope. So if Han is supposed to be in his 30s, he's supposed to, I guess 20. I think we said he was probably 20 here, and Lando
Yeah.
was probably a little bit older. But
I still think they could have probably done it. It would have made more sense if it looked like the same person.
yeah. I mean,
But yeah, they did brilliant in Rogue One, so that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah. So yeah, we kind of get to so he's basically mad. So he basically heads off to Scarif, and so do our heroes. And we see C-3PO and R2-D2. They just missed that shuttle to Scarif. And we were kind of talking about this backstage a little bit, where it's funny because if they would have got on that ship, they probably would have been dead. So they miss it. And then we get a nice cool scene with Bail Organa. He's talking about Obi-Wan a little bit there, and he needs someone to send to go kind of alert Obi-Wan that they need some help, and that's when he sends Leia. So he sends Leia down there in that little what is it, the Tatooine, Tatooine or tentative? I can't remember the name.
The Tantive
4, yeah. So they send her down there, and we get an awesome epic battle then when we get to Scarif. They're there to steal the plans, and the original idea is that they want to fly off with them, obviously, because they don't, they want to live, so they want to fly off. But the problem is that they've activated this type of shield, and no planes or anything can get in or out at this point because I think there were a few X-wings that they dipped down into it, and then we see it get shut off, and we actually see one crash right into the shield.
Yeah, because when they land on Scarif, they intercept a Empire-friendly ship.
Right.
And I want to ask you a question on that, because last week we got the creation of Han Solo's name just off a whimsical.
Yeah.
What did you feel about the title of the episode being dropped into it quite randomly? Like when they said, "What's your name?" and he goes, "Rogue One."
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
Yeah, I know. I like it. I mean, they needed some type of name for the group because they really don't ever do it, and they were basically acting like rogues because even the rebels didn't want them to do that. They just took off and just did it. That was
and it made complete sense, didn't it? It made sense, and it was straight to the point, and it worked. And I was like, that's how you do it. That's how you do something spontaneously and give something a cool name. So yeah, and obviously they had the ship then that flew them up, and they were talking about as they were going to land on Scarif that they couldn't just go anywhere. There was one entrance point for every ship, and it's pretty cool because they lower down and there's like a ring of like these not quite in space but not quite in atmosphere as well. They're just sitting just on the edge, and it allows them to pass through. And yeah, that eventually closes. And I thought it was a pretty cool graphics how it crashed into it and it just slid across it like it was ice. Yeah, I enjoyed that scene.
And did you notice the AT-ATs? They weren't like 100% completed. Like some of the doors, like the sides were like browned out a little bit, like it wasn't 100% complete. I thought that was cool. So because Empire Strikes Back takes place like probably about 5 years from here. So I just think it's kind of cool that they're a little bit incomplete and everything, and they're like shooting their I think it was Baze who's shooting his like rocket at him, and it does nothing.
Yeah, he shoots the legs. I watched him shoot the legs, and it just like froze the leg and crumbled. I was like, I wish they could have done that on Hoth.
Yeah.
But
again, it also shows that it's possible that they,
reinforced it.
Exactly. The one thing I wish they would have done here, the kind of the leader in the space battle, the dude who looks like I don't remember his name, but the guy who looks like Akbar. Why not? I kind of wish they would have just had Akbar in there. Why not just throw Akbar in there as your leader?
Oh yeah, the weird alien monkey looking dude.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, I actually looked up. It was the same species, but people were questioning why he was a different color, and they came out and said that the orange one lived in a colder climate on a different planet or something. So he changed his skin changed.
Yeah. I just don't know.
But yeah, no, they should have had him in it.
Yeah, you could have easily had Akbar leading that, and it just
because it's just a costume.
Right. It just gives him more credentials, like of what a good warrior. Because he got. Granted, this is after this movie came out, but that character gets so screwed in The Last Jedi. His death is just terrible, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm curious to see why that they wouldn't have done that, but I don't know. Whatever. It's just a minor thing again. But
it's good, it's things that you pick up and that Disney can listen to and possibly make these things better. Admiral Raddus. Why is Admiral Raddus a different color to Admiral Akbar? There you go. Raddus is his name. Raddus. Yeah. Yeah,
Raddus. That's what it was. That's right. And the other thing I really like about this movie too, because again, it does lead right into A New Hope. Just the scenes of the pilots when they're flying, it's so like Star Wars, it's so like what we knew.
On your tail, Red Leader, that stuff.
Yeah, it's just like the way they did it. They're shaking around like this, and it just the view of it and everything. And I thought that was pretty cool because like even in the prequels, we get it a little bit, but it's not. It looks just like it always has been because of the style of ship. Obviously, that's number one. The cockpits are the same. Again, it's just a small little thing that I really enjoyed. I know you haven't watched Rebels, but up in the sky we do see. I always thought it was Ghost, which Ghost is the ship that they fly in Rebels. That's the name of their ship, and I'm trying to get like a little. I'm trying to get the picture and try to freeze it. I remember when this came out, this was like such a big thing, like in the trailer, and people were like, "Oh, we're gonna get like, Sabine and Hera." And it's funny in the movie they actually do mention Hera's name. You can hear it in the background where they go. I think they call her. It's not. I don't think it's pilot. It might be general, but they say like General Hera, please report. And that's right there is an Easter egg for the cartoon Rebels. So
okay,
yeah, I don't know. I have it playing in the background. If I happen to be able to see the ship, I'll pause it and bring it up. But
awesome.
I know that was another thing that that it was big when this movie dropped. But yeah, I think the fight scene on Scarif overall is probably like one of the best like 2 or 3 fights in all Star Wars. I really do. I like the Battle of Crate in Last Jedi just because of the fact that it's the way it's filmed, the black and the whites and the red, the way they do it is they did such a good job with that. So that I do like that, even though I don't actually the fight overall isn't great on Crate, but I just think the way it looks is fantastic.
I'm not 100% sure. I think I know what you're talking. Is it when they fight the red?
It's like
the red hooded guards.
No.
No.
It's at the end of the movie when they have their Star Walkers come in and they're hiding in the base, the old abandoned base, and it's just the way it's shot and filmed with all the red salt. So all the salt is it's just
maybe I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, but this fight literally starts about around an hour and a half into the movie, and it literally goes for like over 30 minutes. Like it's awesome. Like obviously,
as soon as they enter Scarif through that shield, it's epic.
Yeah, it
already is. It already is at the beginning, but it sets up the story really, really well, and you understand what's going. And yeah, I know you're talking about the fight scene and stuff. It really is epic, and I think that will reflect in my score tonight because I really, really enjoyed everything about it. Like I said, I see one lightsaber in this entire movie. 2 hours and 20 minutes. I see one lightsaber, and I would have been happy to have not seen any. It was that good of a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, and then so we get the plans, and they successfully. The other scene I want to talk about is when they use the they call it the hammer. When they use that to come and take out the Star Destroyer, and they make it
Oh,
go into the other Star Destroyer. How epic is that?
yeah.
Did you
How
not
is that
like it?
possible? I did, but how is it possible? I was expecting it to just cut straight through it. Why? How did it? I don't like. Usually things just go everywhere in space because of the gravity, and they just fly off. But this was, I don't know. Visually, it didn't work, but it was a really, really cool aspect in my eyes. I really enjoyed it when it rammed into it and it was pushing it. I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Now it's gonna hit that one, and then they're gonna fall down. That's pretty cool.
All right, so here I found the scene actually.
Rogue One was a great movie and told a great story, says Umpty. It did, Umpty. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah.
He said, howdy, everybody, and he's working on a current studio redo. So stay tuned for that.
All right, so right here, let me blow it up. So if you look right here, you can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look right here, a lot of people
Okay.
thought that was Ghost because it's very, very similar to what it looks like in Rebels. This is the only scene we see it because as soon as I hit play, it basically disappears and we don't see it again. But anyways,
Okay.
And it's just another little Easter egg, which I thought was pretty cool because you figure they would probably be helping in this fight at this point. Now Sabine wouldn't be, but Hera's definitely alive, and she would definitely be fighting. So, and it is Hera's ship, anyways. And like I said, we get mentioned earlier in the movie that they do announce her name, which is cool. So,
and I like that when I put myself in a position where I'm watching a franchise, everything else that I do alongside it is also part of that franchise. So even though I've been watching YouTube videos, I've been watching a lot of Star Wars YouTube videos, and just over the last couple of weeks been realizing that all these ships that you see, they made models of them. They aren't just CGI, these were actual models that were made.
which is
and
great.
it just amazes me. Yeah. And like I know this is a little bit completely way off topic, but you know the scene in Attack of the Clones where they're fighting those creatures?
Yeah.
That was a physical set. The whole background with all
background was, yeah.
That was a physical set. And when you look at it in the movie, you think, wow, that is such good CGI.
I mean,
it isn't even CGI.
Well, they probably CGI'd in like the background characters, like all of the like creatures that were in the stands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the actual structure was actual. I was like, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, completely off topic, but yeah, just
you're right though. I mean, that's what he did. I mean, and then that is one of the best things about Star Wars is that the CGI was never really a big part of it. I mean, it obviously became a big part of it, in the prequels because he went over the top on that, especially in Phantom Menace. Like every single ship in there is CGI. It's not like the old movies, but that's what they did with Rogue One. That's why it looks so good because they went back to the old models and stuff. Now, granted,
yeah,
they use some CGI here and there. I'm sure it's not all 100% models. But yeah, the original trilogy, that's what it was, and that's why it was so good.
And I like the reference that I think George Lucas gave. That was, if it has many lights, the more lights it has, the bigger the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And that was how he got you to understand it, because sometimes you can't tell the scale of a ship when they're next to each other in space. But if you just look at the amount of lights on one compared to the other, that's how you can differentiate the difference between how much of a gigantic thing this is compared to this little thing next to it. But because they're next to each other, they look the same.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so then we kind of get to the sad part of the movie because then we end up again. You kind of going in, you kind of figure that most of these characters aren't going to make it through, and the Bodhi one, I hate that death. That dude's like he just kind of like just did what he had to do, and then all of a sudden a grenade comes in the ship, and there goes the ship. So then you see Baze looking over, and he sees that the ship is destroyed. It gets a little sad.
Do you know what I really enjoyed, which was sad, but I really enjoyed it? I am the Force is with me. I am the Force is with me. I am the Force is with me.
And it just keeps walking through. Again,
I was like, badass.
Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, then he dies from an explosion. A lot of explosion deaths in this movie. not so much like a gunshot or like a gunshot or a lightsaber kills until the end, but yeah, so one by one they all kind of die, unfortunately, and then they use the Death Star on Scarif, trying to hope that they're going to eliminate the plans that way, so they're gone. And but
she goes in, doesn't she? They find out that they have to go and get the plans. They have to go and get a floppy disk. Like, they're in space. They have all these technological robots. They have all this amazing stuff. Why is it all still on a floppy disk?
Yeah, it's a good disk. Yeah, who knows?
I never get it. Get it on a thumb drive or something. Put it to the cloud. They're literally closer to the clouds than we are. They can download it to the cloud. We have to upload it.
Remember, this is a galaxy far, far away. So we don't know when this actually took place. This took place before internet, I think. They used to use their comms. But yeah, I mean, and then so the planet gets exploded. The rebels get the plans. They take off, and we see that. And it leads this next, the last 10 minutes basically leads right into what we're going to see tomorrow or whenever you just, I'm probably going to watch it tomorrow, but it leads us right into the beginning of the New Hope. But we get a little bonus added scene of Vader, because we see him on the Star Destroyer. We're like, he's like, I'm just going to go take care of this myself. He's like, no more of this messing up, right? I'm going to go ahead and just go onto the ship. I'm going to go with the plans myself. And I think the scene's awesome, the hallway scene. A lot of people like to compare it to Luke's hallway scene.
I was about to bring it up. It's very reminiscent.
Yeah, it's cool. Just the two completely different fighting styles, and how you can kind of almost have a very similar scene, but both of them seem so different in nature. But I love it
to see them side by side actually and play at the same time.
Yeah, if you look it up on YouTube, there's a few of those I've seen.
And I want to shout out to the editor Ether, because he told me in a message on DMs, the last 10 minutes of Rogue One is the best. And I know he's a huge Vader fan. That's his favorite dude. And all the way through the movie, I was like, okay, let's get to this last 10 minutes. Let's get to this last, and it didn't disappoint.
Yep.
But it kind of did at the same time. I was like, oh, okay.
Quick says they should just download it to Cloud City.
Exactly.
It's a true story. But they, so we get Vader coming out, and he's just like taking their weapons, throwing guys all over the place. But it's funny because he still fails and doesn't get the plans because they slip it through the door. And the one kill is awesome when he goes right through the guy as he hands him the plans. He goes right through the door and opens it. So that was pretty cool. I
just don't understand how sometimes he's super amazingly powerful, and then other times he just can't be bothered and seems like he doesn't use his abilities to his best. Like, if somebody's running away from me and I have force abilities, I would just crush the furthest part of the ship in, so they can't get away. You just crush the ship, because we've seen that. When he was chasing Reva, when he whatever, I don't want to talk about Reva. It makes me feel sick when I say her name. But when he grabs that ship,
I know it's
the most amazing thing I've ever seen him do, and it just shows his ability with the Force. And then you see him in this movie, and it's just like he just can't get to the guy that's just out of his reach.
Yeah. Like, I was just gonna say that too. I'm like, why does he? Again, the movie was made 10 years before, or 8 years, whatever how many years it's been. But why can't he grab the ship as it's flying away like he does with the Reva ship?
Exactly. And that was a small ship.
Yeah.
And that was a small ship compared to the one that he got.
Yeah, I know.
Milky thoughts, love it. Thanks, Leo. I have seen your messages. Obviously, I haven't replied just yet.
But it leads right into A New Hope. Then you see the guy bringing the plans over to Leia, and she basically, he's like, I hope this is gonna help or whatever, and she's like, what did she say? She's like, hope.
What is it? What are the plans, my princess? And she goes, hope. And I'm like, okay. That was the target line for this movie. They had to get that out like 17 times to hit budget.
Yeah.
but they did. It was good.
So here, let's see. I got
And
it.
well, again, you know, you're never gonna guys get these in while you can, because you're not gonna hear Milky praise Disney very often. But again, this is probably the third or fourth time this episode that they did a fantastic job with Leia. You know, they made her look younger, Carrie Fisher. So well done.
Oh wait, I don't have the sound put up. Let's see what she. Okay, I'm gonna see you get the exact line here.
What is it they've sent us? Oh, there's the badass. See, why can't he grab that ship? It's tiny.
What is funny too, because at the end they go to hyperspace, and they obviously follow them. It's cool they mentioned escape pods though too.
Your Highness, the transmission we received. What is it they've sent us?
That's above your pay grade.
Yeah.
Hope.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I would have said that's above your pay grade. Who do you think you are asking a princess that kind of question?
That's right. But yeah, I mean, so again, to me, it shows that Disney can definitely make a Star Wars movie. You know, and hopefully we'll see. Hopefully
Are you getting paid for this? Hopefully.
I know. They need to go watch my video where I tell them what to do. Go watch it. Go watch Star Wars Theory or whatever. So
it was absolutely fantastic. It was, you all know, prequels are my favorite. I grew up with them, and then I had Headless threw in Solo, which is kind of like a spanner in the wrench. It's like, yeah, go watch this rubbish, but then watch the next one because it's really, really good.
Yeah.
And I love how Rogue One has set me up to now go into the OT series. Like, I'm super hyped because, like I said, I've already watched A New Hope many, many times, but this time will probably be my favorite because I'm going to have so much more going into it. Yeah, I'm going to understand more. Like I literally mentioned earlier on, I never, ever, ever understood the power of the Death Star until now. I never knew it was kyber crystals. I never knew that was connected to the Jedi and all that kind of stuff. So it makes so much more sense now.
All right. So what would you rank this out of 10? What do you think?
9.5.
9.5 out of 10. All right. Is it just because you just don't think it's better than Revenge of the Sith, or are you just like, for what reason would it not be a 10 out of 10? Just curious.
It's not a 10 out of 10 because I am thinking about my future score. I am thinking about how I want things to rank, and I don't want to have matching. I want to have a clear 1 to 10. And it is a very, very good movie. It explains a lot. It introduces characters, and it gives those characters meaningful storylines to a full end, which is fantastic. Yeah, it's just not going to live up to Revenge of the Sith. I don't think anything ever will.
Okay, fair enough. I have the rankings. I have the rankings in. So I gave this a 9 out of 10. I actually have it tied. I have it tied with Revenge of the Sith. I would definitely have some ties in my list. Again, the way I look at this, though, the tiebreaker for me, because I do think both movies are fantastic. I think the tiebreaker for me, though, comes from.
Pay attention to this, you must.
That's right. I think the tiebreaker for me comes from what movie. Again, I always go back to this. If you gave me a choice to sit there and watch one that I haven't watched in a while, the one I'd pick to watch would be Revenge of the Sith over Rogue One. So that's kind of where my tiebreakers always come into play. So right now we both have Revenge of the Sith on top. You have it at 10 out of 10. I have it at 9 out of 10. Rogue One, we both have in second place right now. You have it at a 9.5. I have it at a 9. You have Attack of the Clones at a 7 out of 10 in third. I have the Phantom Menace with that same score in third. You have the Phantom Menace at fourth with a 6 out of 10. I give Solo my fourth spot with a 6.5 out of 10. And then you have Solo as your least favorite so far at 5.5. and I have Attack of the Clones at my least favorite at a 6.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
it's pretty. It's a couple of switch arounds here and there, but I think overall, if you look at the scores, they're very very similar. I think we're only like, I mean, it's honestly the biggest difference really is it's strange. It's well, Solo is about a point, and then Revenge of the Sith is a point, but really nothing's more than a point or just a half if it's not a tie.
Yeah, and I'm pretty proud of my scores because you're the Star Wars nerd, and you have had these thoughts and for a long time, and you've lived with these. So I'm pretty happy with my scores, to be honest, and yeah, yours are pretty much substandard as to what I thought they would be. Although Solo, I don't understand why you have it above Attack of the Clones. We'll never understand that, but it's your list, it's your understanding. So I'm going to accept it. But yeah, I am going to say out on the live now. Pay attention to this screen. We are going to show it every week, but I'm not going to remind you every week to pay attention to it. This is your friendly reminder to pay attention to this screen for future endeavors.
Yep. All right. Well, we're at about an hour. I don't know. Any final thoughts? I mean, so I know you mentioned earlier you don't think I hyped it up enough, or you said I didn't hype it up and like so much that you were going to be disappointed, that's good to hear, because I do think the movie is fantastic. I don't know. Any final thoughts on Rogue One?
Well, I have a couple of questions that I put a poll up on Instagram. We are doing this every single week.
That's right.
This week I haven't had many people send stuff to me, so it happens and it doesn't happen. I understand, but if people are listening right now, there's 8 of you here. If you could please just try to send me a funny quote or a message or something each week, just so that we can include them in these live streams. Just makes them a little bit more interactive with you guys watching. And if you do have any questions, you are more than free to put them in the chat as well, and we will answer them. But if you put them on the Instagram post, you're guaranteed to get your thing read out at least. So yeah, I put something up, and again, I didn't get many. I got one from Wayne Deacon, who said, "In my eyes, second best Star Wars movie."
Okay.
Which that correlates with our lists right now.
Right
second
now,
best we've seen. So I completely agree with him. And then I asked myself some questions because I was annoyed that nobody was partaking in my social media posts, so I was going to do it myself. So I wanted to ask you, who was the blind dude? I put, who is the blind badass dude with a stick? I absolutely love him.
Yeah, I mean he's just I don't even know. Like, I mean, he was just kind of hanging out in Jeddah. I mean, I guess they're just part of they're part of what, I mean, they're not part of the rebellion, I don't think. They're just like people who live on that planet, and they don't don't believe in what the Empire
So he's not Jedi, because I got very, very Jedi vibes.
No, he's not a Jedi. Now, does he have Force ability? I don't know.
Maybe they all do on that planet because of all that stuff that comes from there.
Yeah, I mean, I have to really deep dive into it. I'm not even sure if they show up in comics. But as far as I know, he's not Force sensitive or anything like that. But again, could he tap in a little bit, maybe, because even Baze makes a mention to him that he's not a Jedi, because the question is brought up. Yeah, but
keepers of the wills.
That's right. And they do say that.
Okay. Yeah. Another question I put is, what is Jin's connection to the Force? Because they have a very poignant scene where she's talking she's looking at her necklace that her mother gave her. Oh, and that's part of a kyber crystal.
Yeah, that was a kyber crystal. She has no Force abilities. I think the kyber crystal came from her mother, who probably got it from her husband when they were working on the Death Star and gathering all the crystals. Okay. And I think that was just something that she gave her to remember her by. Yeah, but she has no Force abilities or anything like that. So.
Okay, and then my final question, I think I asked you backstage, but I'll ask it live as well. Why does Bail Organa look younger than Obi-Wan Kenobi? Yeah. Because in the next movie, Obi-Wan Kenobi's an old man. Bail Organa still looks as young as he did in Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, why did they age him up a little bit for this movie? I don't know. But again, we haven't. So you got to remember though, before Kenobi came out, we haven't seen him since Revenge of the Sith. So I mean, it has been, what was that? 2003.
Yeah.
No, 2005 actually. It was 99, 92, and 5. So 2005, and then the next movie This movie came out in 17. So what is
Okay.
that? 12 years?
Yeah,
Yeah, they could have aged him up a little bit, but
a little, just because of the dramatic change that we're going to get for Obi-Wan in the next movie.
it is great. Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm surprised they didn't like. I mean, I think they definitely made Ewan look older in Kenobi, but still, I mean, in 10 years he goes to like all gray and just old. You know, I don't know.
It's still cool, but yeah, I'm super, and I want to say thank you to you and McGregor if you're watching, fellows. You know, I live in Scotland. You're a Scottishman, so it's possible. Well done, Obi-Wan. I know that we're going to move on to the movies now where you'll no longer be playing that character. So yeah, he fulfilled a real call for me. He made Obi-Wan really cool for me growing up because I knew of Alec Guinness, but yeah, Ewan McGregor is brilliant at it.
No, yeah, he did a great job. I mean, even in Kenobi, for what it was, he still did a good job in the movie. It's not his fault that they had
The writing sucked.
The writing sucked, and they needed Reva to steal the show, and even Leia to a point, you know. But yeah.
So yeah, that's us done with Rogue One. That's my questions done. I want to thank you again for your knowledge and for your time. Like I said, you made this movie better for me with one line tonight by letting me know that Saw Gerrera was the leader of the starter of the Rebel Alliance. That's amazing, and it meant so more.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it live too much. But yeah, again, if you haven't watched Rebels or Clone Wars, so you see Saw in both of those series, and he is an integral part of forming that rebellion. You know, and then he decides that he's not 100% in with what they're doing and how they're trying to go about fighting the Empire, and that's why he basically goes to Jeddah and he kind of does this thing there. So, but it's really interesting in the episodes he's in. Again, if you don't watch the cartoons, you're kind of like, wait, who's this guy? Like, you know,
I'm going to watch the cartoons. But I'm going to get you to give me arcs to watch.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through everything. I've been doing some research and I watched a couple of the first seasons of Clone Wars, and I'm going to struggle because it's very cartoon. It's very childlike.
The first few seasons are definitely like that. Yeah. They're definitely
I'm going to struggle. So if I can get through it as quick as I can and with the most informative stuff then I can, then I'll probably enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, the first episode, the first couple seasons are just, it's trying to get through it. Like Ahsoka is kind of annoying almost to a point in this first couple seasons until she grows up a little bit. But like season 3 is really where it picks up. So
because I want to be caught up on all this stuff before we get Ahsoka at least.
Yeah.
I need to be caught up on all this back knowledge before we get to Ahsoka.
Yeah, I'll have to get a list. You said you're through the first 2 seasons.
No, I'll have to get back to you. I think I've seen 2 arcs.
So 2 arcs you've seen. So that's a lot different than 2 seasons because 2 arcs is like probably what, 8 episodes maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
8. Okay, so you're about a third of the way. And I think there's 24 episodes a season. That's why it takes so long. You know, and they're only 20 minutes, but like, you know, like you said, it is a cartoon that was originally made for kids, and I think the people just got into it. And I think as season 3 and season 4 and season 5 progressed, it did become almost more more adult-like. Even though there's still those episodes that are like really cheesy and just, you know, totally off on their own little thing.
Yeah, I'm on board for the Darth Maul stuff. I'm on board. Actually, I'll tell you what I did watch. I watched an episode with Cad Bane.
Oh, okay, yeah. Cad Bane's in it a few times.
He was flying in a tunnel. He was going up it looked like he'd been in Charlie and the Chocolate Factories. He'd been drinking the fizzy bop, and he was flying up if you remember that scene. I don't know if you do. But yeah. That's the one I watched.
Yeah, Cad Bane's a pretty good character in it. Again, Book of Boba Fett had his own issues, but at least we got to see Cad Bane live because I thought they did a pretty decent job with the character. It just doesn't do anything, you know, unfortunately. But
yeah, if I had one pet peeve for Rogue One, it would be that they didn't include a credit scene at the beginning, a rolling credit scene.
Either the Solo.
I don't care about Solo.
Oh, okay.
I care about I like Rogue One, and that was my one pet peeve with it. I was like,
Yeah.
I would have liked the
Yeah,
little explanation.
And I think they just decided to keep that for just the straight trilogy movies. I guess I don't know. Yeah, I guess it was kind of weird. I mean, like if Star Wars is all together, then why not do it? But whatever.
Yeah.
But I get you, because it would have been nice to like know like maybe a little background information on like what we were about to see.
Even just give us a bit detail on
like where the
on
rebellion.
how or where the rebellion is, or how what's his face had even come up with the idea for the Death Star. Just give us a bit of that stuff.
Well, we see all that though in Clone Wars, or I'm sorry, not in Clone Wars, in Attack of the Clones when Dooku has the map laid out and everything. They just haven't started building it. Well, they started building it at the end of Revenge of the Sith. You can see that they
he has the plans, don't they? It's on the screen.
Yeah, and then that always leads to another question that people love to ask me is, well, why did they take so long on the first Death Star, and then after Empire Strikes Back, they already had the whole new one almost built? I'm like, yeah, well.
Yeah, I had that question in my head. Right? Why did the rebels only just find out about it as it's firing?
Yeah, I mean, I always like, here's my thing with Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi. To me, it can't be that much further down the road because they're going to find Han. I mean, it's not like they're waiting years to go do this. You see them take off and go. So for me, it's almost immediate. So I don't know. I don't know how they built the second Death Star so quickly.
Yeah.
Because they already did it once, so they knew what to do. I don't know. But again, the Emperor supposedly has all this stuff going on in the background in the Exegol, so whatever. So maybe they've been building it since the last one blew up.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
we just don't see the progress in Empire Strikes Back. That's the only thing I can think of. Because then between Empire Strikes Back and New Hope, I think it's like 5 years.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's kind of it then. That's been our discussion and review. Rebellions are built on hope. Rogue One, a Star Wars story with Ryan Milky and Headless Ned Stark. I want to thank everybody in the chat for being here tonight and hanging out. And yeah, PDX has stopped in and said, hey, he loves this movie. Still loves episode 1. And
I know I missed a few people. Simon has stopped in. Nadia stopped in. Let's see.
And don't forget, guys, in just over 2 hours, we will be back with this beauty, Raven Reviews. Headless Ned Stark and myself will be combining again for the 3rd week in a row on a new venture. And yeah, we'll be back. It's going to be good. I can't wait. The Last of Us, exactly, PDX knows. Baby Ice, thank you very much. She says awesome live.
Yes, thank you so much.
So let us know in the chat. There's 6 of you now. How many of you are watching A New Hope in time for tomorrow? Is anyone going to have a chance to watch it? Does anybody need it? If they do, reach out to me. But yeah, I'd be interested to see if we get a bigger crowd, because I know I know a lot more people are probably going to be interested in those kind of stuff, because that's where they, that's their love for Star Wars.
Yeah, I think I think tomorrow we should have a nice little crowd, because I think A New Hope is a good one to talk about, and and then leading into next week with Empire Strikes Back and Return. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that for next weekend. Those are two of the best. So, but all right, yeah, we will be back in about 2 hours or so, and hopefully you watch The Last of Us and come stop by, and we'll be talking about that tonight. So. All right, Ryan, you're good. I'm good. I appreciate you being here again, like always. And everybody in the chat, I want you to stay milky.
And guys, do not forget to keep those bloody heads on. I'm telling you, keep those heads on, guys. And we'll see you later.
You got to keep them on. Take care, guys.